Remember, you are always an authority of you. Or are you? You are not to be in the box. And here's the trick. Part of being on planet Earth is to be in a box. It's a human construct. I'm hearing freedom can be difficult for some to handle. If you've always been kept in the dark, all of a sudden seeing everything so clearly may make you feel very scared. It's just too big. Just because you don't see choices or options, or choose not to see different choices or options, does not mean that there aren't any choices or options. We're also relatively new to planet Earth, so I get that you are probably fairly uncomfortable in your body, because when you are coming into this density from lighter spheres, if you will, it feels literally like you're in prison. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to part 2 of the first video. These are going to be messages through pictures, cards. I will intuitively tune into whatever I'm being shown, and I will share that with you. Do listen to the first part of this video because it's supposed to be a continuation. I just didn't want to make the videos too long. Whatever pile you are drawn to, however it comes to you, however you align with it, that's the best way to go. If you feel like you want to listen to all 3 or more than one, and messages from those piles resonate with you, take them as they come to you. If something doesn't make sense, does not resonate, throw it away and just keep, quote unquote, the parts that make sense to you. And ultimately, some of these messages may not make sense to everyone at one particular time. But what happens is, as we evolve, our understanding evolves, and therefore what you might hear today, you might hear very differently when you listen 2 months or 3 months from now. And that's because you're constantly evolving human being, and you are here because you're here to evolve. It's the question of how are we evolving? How are you evolving? So video number 1 talks a lot about what's happening on planet Earth. So this is a continuation. So let us go through piles. Pile number 1, what does your soul want you to know? We have trust the timing, and we have exchanging gifts in reverse. I will tune into those and just share with you what I'm getting. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. So the first thing that I'm seeing is that you're between black and white. What does that mean? When I say you're between black and white, you're not considering the everything in between, in the gray. And then there's very few things in the world that are black and white, okay? And I feel like you are looking for something, but you don't know what you're looking for, which is a bit of a juxtaposition, if that's the right word, because how do you look for something if you don't know what you're looking for? Well, that's a sure way to get lost. Okay, so I feel like you are lost in a sea of options. Either these options have been created for you, they're around you, or you're approaching them. I just noticed something. Or you're creating options for yourself, but you don't know which one to take, and you can't have them all at once. Okay? Decide what you value most and start with that. So if you have a decision or a choice to make, it's about deciding what gives you the best options. In other words, what's going to help you, I want to say, keep grounded. What's going to give you the most sustenance, not just physically, but emotionally. And I want to say emotionally is a pretty big component, because you can take something that financially supports you, but emotionally, like, it's dead. Like you get literally zero juice out of it. You'll do it, but it's going to feel dry. It's going to feel like like there's something more that you should do, but you're not doing it. And it's going to make you mad. It's going to make you angry. And then you're going to start getting bitter. So if you are making choice or decision, and of course, as Joanna, I would always say, follow your security first, because let's face it, without security, you're not going to be able to relax. You have to take care of your security, okay? Plain and simple. There's no point in denying that. But once your security is met, then you have to go a little bit above the security component and get some juice out of your experience. In other words, something that is allowing you to feel satisfied. Choose something that will both sustain you physically and leaves you satisfied. It may not be something that you choose to do forever, but it certainly will, that choice will certainly sustain you for now. Maybe it's a block you need to go through or learn through in order to take you to the next destination. So I feel like whoever you are, you're trying to make a decision for the rest of your life. And what I'm feeling, by all means, don't take it if this doesn't make sense to you, but what I'm feeling is you're trying to solve whatever this is for the rest of your life. And what I'm seeing is there is more pieces to it than that. It's like your journey is always continuing, and it's like you're trying to contain your journey in a box by deciding something that you think has to be for the rest of your life. And I'm saying, no, that's you shortchanging yourself, because what if you decide that something is for the rest of your life, you grow, and then you realize, I don't want that. And then all of a sudden, all these fears kick up, because here you thought you had your security, solved for the rest of your life, and this is representing some big change, and now all of a sudden that's extra uncomfortable, because change is inevitable. Change is always going to happen. And also, you're trying to ensure your future by looking at the past. Of course, if you have data in the past that says this and this has worked for me, it was wonderful, repeat the pattern, okay? However, if you are doing something based on your past that didn't work out in the past, then doing the same thing that you did in the past makes no sense at all. Because then what you are doing is you are perpetuating the same old experience. Is that what you want? Chances are, well, actually, it could be you might want us to have the same experience, but chances are you want a different experience. I mean, what's the point of repeating the same experience over and over again unless you absolutely love it? Okay? There's a lot more to choose from than just one choice or option is what I'm getting for you, pile number one. Okay? You have a resigning feeling within you, like you've resigned. It's like, what's the point? And what I want to say is this. The point is, it's not about trying harder. It's about trying to let go of whatever you have been resisting. Trying to let go of whatever you have been resisting. I don't quite understand what that means. My brain is going to have to figure that out later. I just keep saying sea of options. It's nice to have options, isn't it? Maybe as a result of your internal growth, all of a sudden you're seeing all these options for yourself. And, you know, people often say they want more options. That's what freedom really is, options. But the moment they're presented with a whole bunch of options, they have no idea what to choose. They need direction. It'll be easier if someone says, okay, get rid of all these options. Here's an option. Okay. It's kind of funny how that works. I'm hearing freedom can be difficult for some to handle. If you've always been kept in the dark, all of a sudden seeing everything so clearly may make you feel very scared. It's just too big. Okay, so there's something interesting going on with you, pile number one. I feel like you are bombarded with what they just called light codes. Okay. Now, the exchanging of gifts to me, and it's number 27. So it's, again, 2 and 7 is 9, which is letting go in my vocabulary. This card represents giving and receiving, okay? And what I'm getting here is that for those of you that this most likely will resonate with is you are not used to quote unquote a fair exchange. You're used to falling on the short end of that stick, which means you always end up with quote unquote less, okay? The question then becomes why. If you feel like you are always getting the short end of the stick or you're getting less than everybody else, then you might need to ask yourself the question why. Why am I getting the short end of the stick? Because no one wants to get the shorter end of the stick because it's uneven, right? We like balance. But if you're in a situation where, for example, you are being paid unfairly, okay, and it's within, market value, otherwise, if it's way out of market, then that may not work. But if you feel like you're, in this instance, working for a company and you are getting treated poorly and paid unfairly, the question you need to ask yourself, why am I still here? Why am I still here in this environment? Now, your mind is going to say, I have no choice or options. And this is where the message is. You may not see choices or options, but this is where you're wrong. Just because you don't see choices or options or choose not to see different choices or options does not mean that there aren't any choices or options. First and foremost, choose how you see. Choose how you see everything. Choose how you see. Don't be fooled into believing that you have to see things a certain way. No, choose how you see things. Okay? Choose how you see yourself. Okay? If you're someone who's struggling in particular with the idea of feeling like they're undervalued, then there is some inner work that would be good to do in order to discover the shadow that keeps perpetuating that cycle, because it could very well be a karmic cycle that you are here to end. Okay? Oftentimes, and I'm not going to speak 100% of the time, but oftentimes when we are in a position of constantly being undervalued, it almost always goes to the idea that we first undervalue ourselves. We think ourselves as less than, lower than, and then we vibrate that energy, which is responsible for bringing our 3D equivalent experience to our lives, to our reality. Okay? And that's just an example to signify the message. Okay? Remember, you are more than you think. So if you think or believe that you are treated unfairly, the question to ask yourself, why am I always in this position? Why? What am I learning through this? Again, the ego will say nothing. It's impossible. You cannot, that doesn't exist. Okay? Whatever you are experiencing is always of value on a higher level. It's just a matter of seeing it. Of course it serves you. Otherwise your soul wouldn't go through that experience, period. Just because you don't like it does not mean it doesn't serve you. It serves you a lot. For one of the ways it serves you is your understanding of what it is like to feel undervalued. Otherwise you wouldn't understand the feeling. And perhaps because of it, you wouldn't be able to understand another human being who struggles with the same thing. Perhaps your job is to give people guidance who are struggling with their value of themselves. How will you relate to them if you have no idea how they feel? Okay? It's the glue that binds you together, that creates that cohesiveness, that connection between people. Okay? That's how it serves you. And there's many ways. Number two, that's not what you want, right? Remember, everything is an experience to your soul. There's no good, there's no bad. There's an experience. Human mind doesn't see it that way. Human eyes don't see it that way because we have our construct that says this is good, this is bad, this is ugly, this is pretty. That's the box, limited box that we were talking about in the first video. Get out of your own head about how you see yourself and start new. Realize your potential by the way you see yourself. How you see yourself is often dependent on how you feel about yourself. How you feel about yourself is often tied to what you believe about yourself. So if you see yourself or feel low about yourself, that you have low value, look at the belief. Why? You are part of source, aren't you? It's a belief. Okay, time to look at your beliefs, pile number 1, because it has a lot to do with exchange and the type of how you get compensated with the exchanges you have with life. But when I say compensated, I don't just mean money. How people are with you, how many loving relationships you bring into your life, how many people will come to you that will abuse you or take advantage of you. How you feel creates a certain environment. Doesn't mean if you're in an environment and you're in a position where you feel unwanted, it doesn't mean that you're creating it because you are a bad person or you're paying debt or somehow you're being punished for sin. That's a human construct. Your soul doesn't give a crap, pardon my French, about the idea of sin. That's a man-made thing. It's an experience. Okay? The moment you have your experience, you can choose a different experience because your soul is here for an experience. Okay, my universe, my higher self, I already know what it feels like to not feel good about myself. Okay, I choose to feel differently. Great. Start with that. How do you choose to feel good about yourself? Well, it starts with, first and foremost, what do you tell yourself about yourself every single day without even knowing what you're saying to yourself, which feeds the mechanism. Okay, so you either feed yourself with toxins or you feed yourself with nourishment. You decide. You decide. When you think of yourself, low thoughts, you are poisoning yourself from inside out. What happens with poison? Well, it affects the body in negative ways and the mind. Start with knowing who you are by stop repeating the things that are not true about you. I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. It's all relative. To someone, you might be the most beautiful thing in the world. To another person, you might be average. You're trying to please everybody? How the hell is that going to work? Stop being such a pleaser. And this is not funny. I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's humorous from this higher perspective. We choose to do things as humans without knowing that we're choosing it, and we are suffering. We are creating this. If only we had the understanding of how we create our world in conscious ways, then everything would change. So that's it for you, pile number 1. Okay, pile 2, let's see what we have for you. What does your soul want to know? Deep cellular healing, Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. And we have serendipity, comes to the number 9, which was the same as pile 1. I will tune into each one and let you know what I feel. So this message, deep cellular healing, is what comes to me is you come from many worlds. In other words, you have vast experiences from other world within you. You may not be conscious of this, but I feel like this is, when I say other worlds, I also want to say other planets, okay? From within this galaxy and other galaxies. Now, this is taking me, Joanna, way off chart here. Wow, okay. I'm getting bird energy, okay? That's all I'm going to say. But I feel like some of you have or connect with bird energy. And when I say bird energy, I'm talking about other types of beings that are bird-like. Okay, have not ever talked about this before, but this is what I'm getting. Okay. You are also relatively new to planet Earth, so I get that you are probably fairly uncomfortable in your body, because when you are coming into this density from lighter spheres, if you will, it feels literally like you're in prison. Okay. And I feel like this is whatever this is that you are, this understanding that's coming to you right now is going to shed a light on the things that have always been, but you didn't quite understand why you've always felt different. For example, I just heard, I am who I am, not who I'm supposed to be. You are here to be who you are, not to put yourself in a box so that you feel like you belong. Because even though you feel like you belong, you will feel stifled. Stifled. You are not to be in the box. And here's the trick. Part of being on planet Earth is to be in a box. It's a human construct. So at least you are here to renovate your box, make your box bigger, elevate your understanding of yourself and humanity. And your understanding of yourself, it's if I could explain it, it's like very close to your consciousness. It's just about to pop. Some people's understanding, you have an intergalactic influence. Some people's awareness of being intergalactic species is way down, deeper in their unconscious. Yours, although on an unconscious level, is fairly close to the surface. Okay, you have not been here so many times that you really had to deeply deny this part of you, and other humans, looks like, have been here many times, and they, in order to survive, they really had to suppress that part of them. Okay, but that part of them was always there, always is, always will be. That part of you is within you, and you are beginning to realize that more and more and more and more and more. Okay, I don't know why they're saying planet Mars is somehow important to you. Okay, what is Mars about? Mars is about action, desire, aggression. Interesting. Okay. I feel like you're a fairly charged individual. You actually may be someone who constantly fights being put in a box, which makes perfect sense, because you are here to challenge the box. You are here to undermine these boxes, and you are here to choose to create your own. Choose to create your own box. So obviously, when I'm talking about boxes, I'm talking about the construct of the human mind, belief systems, in other words. Okay, the labels we put on ourselves and how we identify ourselves is construct. This is part of our construct. Okay. I'm just trying to see what else I'm getting. I also feel like you have angelic, I'm saying the word angelic because it feels like it's got wings, angelic force behind you. It's relatively new to you. Not that it's new, but your comprehension of it is new, or your awareness of it is new. Okay. I'm getting Archangel Michael. Some of you may be working directly with Archangel Michael, or getting more accustomed to working with archangels or angels or something of that source. Okay. I am seeing one that is specifically for the it has an energy of playing music. So you might be someone who plays music or likes music a lot, and your angel is encouraging you to play music or play more music. Okay. I just heard the word cello. Obviously, it could be any your inner voice just organically comes out of you, but for some reason, I feel like you've learned to suppress it. We all learn how to suppress it, by the way. We're not born suppressed. We learn how to suppress as an idea of, as a result of our construct. Okay. This form of suppression is what causes your issues in your family. Okay, because when we suppress ourselves, we often feel angry. I mean, there's so many depression. I mean, there's so many things that result out of depressing emotions. One of them, feeling very dissatisfied and very unhappy with one's life. Okay, and I feel like that could be you because you've needed to fit yourself in the box. But remember, if this is making sense to you, if this is resonating, you're here to choose your own box. In other words, to challenge your own box and say no to this box and create a new box. Different one. Less sharp edges. Okay? Lighter, less confining. And you are here to be in charge of yourself rather than believing that someone or something is in charge of you. You are always in charge of you. If someone controls you controls your mind, in other words, if someone is trying to control your mind, it's because you're giving them permission to. They can't overpower you unless you give them permission to. So you basically agree to not use your power and choose their power over your power. Apparently that's how it works. Okay. In other words, you make the decision to choose their power over your power. Okay. Do we do it consciously? No. It's done unconsciously as a result of repetition. Okay. So as an example, if from the very beginning you have been told that a teacher, for example, is someone that is really high up here, and you basically kind of have to bow to them. If that's your understanding most of your young life, then you will put this type of a person on a pedestal. And whatever that person says is you're going to take it as quote unquote gospel, because it came from that person that you've put on a pedestal. But the person could be wrong. They may have their own agenda. They may not be satisfied with their own lives and trying to find satisfaction through manipulating others. I mean, there's so many ways, but we do this all the time. We do it with professionals. We do it with friends. We do it with so many different things. And there is room for it, absolutely. But when it comes at the expense of denying your own power, then I'm afraid that doesn't make much sense. So the question for you, pile number 2, is who's in control of you right now? Who's in control of your emotions? Who's in control of how you feel about you? It has to be you. Who's in control in how you feel about you? You are? Great. Then stop fear controlling you. Stop fear controlling you. Stop someone else controlling you. Stop someone else's feelings about you controlling you. Stop how someone else sees you control you. And by the way, it's not how they see you, it's how you feel or believe they see you. They may see you completely differently than what you believe. It's all in the mind. Remember, okay? Physical, emotional healing, Arcturus energy. So this is obvious. You are obviously connected with Arcturians or Arcturus energy. Or alternatively, you are getting a healing from, I want to say, Arcturus starship, and I believe name is Athena. Again, not something that I normally talk about, but there it is. So this feels very, pile number 2 feels very intergalactic. I wouldn't be surprised if you actually feel like you are from a different galaxy. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Okay, you're a fighter, I will tell you that much. But you're also you can also be a loner. So that's a very interesting juxtaposition. What I'm also getting is that you'd rather be with a pack of wolves than humans. You trust animal more than you trust humans. Well, someone who comes from a very drastically different environment, a different dimension, being dropped into this 3D world, that's quite a shock. I wouldn't trust humans either. We're terrible what we do to each other. It's anyway, you get the picture. Okay. Accept your intergalactic family as your own family and make peace with it. Perhaps you don't feel like you are part of your family. That's okay. You have a human family the way it is for a reason. It was by your design. Okay? Perhaps you are here to learn or to have an experience of what it's like to feel like an oddball. Why? Because knowing the feeling of feeling an oddball tells you, gives you an idea what it feels like not to belong. And what if you are here to help people realize that they don't belong to anything or anyone, but they've lost their awareness of where they truly belong. They belong with consciousness. They belong with source. It has never left them. You are here to help humanity with that understanding. And you have to go through your own trials and tribulations, through your own challenges and efforts in order to crack you open. Okay? You needed to have the experience, what it's like to feel like you don't belong, then crack open, and then help all those people who've lost their way, because there's many, many, many people who've lost their way. Okay? We're all trying to find something. We're all trying to find it somewhere, but there is no somewhere. It's on the inside. Remember? We're cracking up. So you are first arriving at this yourself, within yourself, and you are likely to share that voice with others. At first, many may not comprehend you. They may not know what you're talking about, but the right ones will come to you. I promise. I promise. It's like you will have your own different family. Doesn't mean you won't have your old family, yes, but it's like a new family. It's like your star beings are going to collectively align together and you're going to be part of a bigger group. I'm also getting you're here to reunite with those you've lost. What does that mean? You're here to reunite with those you've lost. I feel like you are part of a larger group of beings that's been scattered all over this world in order to help people to come to their senses. And you're feeling very alone, probably in a space where no one understands you, where you perhaps you feel like an oddball, literally. And through your own understanding of yourself, it's like your light reaches the light of all those other beings, and all of a sudden they become connected. And even though it's worldwide, it becomes like this huge connection. And as I see this connection, all these lights come on and everything gets lit up. So you are part of a bigger, you're here as part of a bigger thing. Okay, never forget that. But you're also here for yourself and your own individual experience. Okay. Serendipity just says luck. Okay, L-A-C-K. And I feel like you're full of ideas. I feel like you are letting synchronicities guide you. There's a lot of green going on, obviously, which means a lot of heart healing. At the end of the day, we are really here to be in our hearts more. Humanity is learning or trying to learn how to do that, which means we have to come out of our heads. And in order to be more in our hearts, we need to heal our hearts, because nobody wants to be in a space where it hurts. Nobody chooses to feel pain, so we escape it. Where do we escape it to? In the head. So you are helping people trying to stop escaping from life and rather to surrender to life. Okay? Because life always wants what is best for you. Life always wants what is best for you. That's what the universe wants for you. What is best for you is what you as a soul have decided. You as a soul know what is best for you. Your human may not agree, and it often disagrees passionately. This is not what I want. In fact, if you're having this experience, that is exactly what you want. I know it doesn't feel like it. You would not choose it if you had to choose it again, but you are not choosing it from the human perspective. You are coming into grips with that within yourself, about yourself. And it starts to make things relatively easier. You will still go through challenges, but there'll be a shift. There'll be a shift. So there's a lot of synchronicities here. Number 18, which is beautiful. 9, again, letting go in order to be taken up by this beautiful 4-clover leaf. She has to let go of her stability, of her ground, right? Doesn't mean you're not supposed to be grounded. It just means she is letting go. She's following whatever is guiding her. And like I said earlier, you have a pretty strong intuition. You have been perhaps neglecting it. Perhaps you're very strong-headed because that's your box. It's relatively sturdy and safe, and letting go of that sturdiness when you've depended on it all your life is hard. I get it. But that is your message for pile number 2. All right, let's see what we have for you, pile number 3. We have all paths lead home, inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Okay, it's very similar to actually pile number 1, if you're interested. And we have change of wind. Oops, we have change of wind. Okay, so let me go through this. You are absolutely in a space of your own awakening. In fact, you wouldn't be here listening to this transmission if that was not where you were at. It just and not only that, you're conscious of it. You're going through something right now. Okay. It almost feels like a maze to me, but a maze where you can't really get lost. So it's a bit of a contradiction. Maze, but you can't get lost. Isn't maze for the purpose of... Anyways, it's a maze where you don't get lost. And the reason why you don't get lost is because even though it's a maze, you can clearly see what's going on. Even though it's a maze, you can clearly see what's going on. And that's because you have a much higher perspective now than ever before with regards to what life is and what it is that you're supposed to do. Okay? And although it hasn't come easy to you, it is something that you are willing to take a risk or a chance at. Okay? And because of that, you are about to break some rules. I'm not talking about the type of rules where community would lock you up, but it's your own rules. You're in the process of breaking your own rules around self-sabotage. Okay, so we all have our rules in ourselves, and you are breaking your own rules around self-sabotage. In other words, why do you sabotage yourself? What are the rules based on which you self-sabotage yourself? For example, if you sabotage yourself out of a lot of money, then that means that part of you does not believe that you can be rich or prosper, as an example. Okay? If that's the case, then you need to look at your beliefs. You understand this now. You know that the life you live is directly correlated to what you believe and what you think and how you feel about yourself and the rest of the world. Okay? So even though this world is a maze, you can see clearly, and because of that, it's pretty hard to get lost. You're not going to get lost. Okay, will you have obstacles in front of you? Yes, but you will see obstacles as obstacles, not as something you have to fight with or something you have to resist. You'll just experience the obstacle and you'll just move on. So you're looking at obstacles differently. You're looking at challenges very differently. There's a lot more flow to you, which how I want to interpret this is when you are flowing, you feel more in charge. When you are resisting, you feel stuck. I feel like you are in less resistance right now. Okay. And that is a good thing because resistance is very tiring. I know a little to one or something about resistance. I think I'm a queen at resistance. But you are resisting far less than what you're used to. Inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Inner authority. Obviously, this is suggesting that your idea of authority is changing, in particular, how you see yourself as an authority. Okay? Remember, you are always an authority of you. Or are you? If you are not your own authority, who is your authority? Who do you give your authority to? Because whoever you give your authority to will likely be in charge or in control of you. Okay? Whoever you give your authority to will likely be in charge or in control of you. Is that what you want? If yes, that's great. Have that experience, but I don't feel that's the case. You are here to understand yourself far better than somebody else understanding you. So you don't want someone to understand you better than you understand yourself. Why? Because they're in a position of controlling you. And I'm not being funny about it because it's not funny. The less you know about yourself and the more someone knows about you, the more they can manipulate you. The more you know about yourself, the more you can see how the manipulation works. And then you can choose to be manipulated or not be manipulated. It becomes a choice. It's an experience, but it becomes a choice. And there's nothing wrong with quote-unquote manipulation. Well, of course there is, but from the bigger perspective, it's an experience, okay? What you hold accountable and who you hold accountable to you is changing. I'm not quite sure what that means. Show me a little bit more. Okay. You delegate to other people. It's like I'm seeing you in a position delegating and trusting other people. And so if you entrust things in people, but you know they can't do it better than you, then why are you entrusting this in them? Or maybe they can do it better than you, but you're not giving them the chance to show you. There's something here about control, okay? Are you someone who's too controlling, for example? If you are too controlling, then ask yourself the question, why? And that could be controlling on so many levels. Too much controlling of your emotions, where you control how you feel, and then all of a sudden, one day, you just burst out because you can't hold it anymore, and you are full of anger and rage. And then people want to run away and hide from you because you're a force to be reckoned with. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but if it scares people away from you, that's not what you want. It's not a great way to keep company. Are you someone who is, Are you someone who is often triggered by anger? Okay. Now, this is not to say you shouldn't feel angry. Absolutely, if something is going to anger you, feel angry. This is using anger to punish other people. So either somebody's anger is punishing you, you're being punished by somebody else's anger, or your unresolved anger you're using to punish someone. And I'm not saying this is what you're doing, but this is what's coming. So some of you may have that. Again, I am not judging anger as wrong. I'm simply saying that there is something here around anger that is maybe needing to be addressed. Because to be angry, to feel angry and then let go of anger is perfectly beautiful. To hold on to anger only robs you and invalidates you. How does it invalidate you? Because when you are full of anger, you are not experiencing and expressing your love. You are vibrating anger or any other emotion for that matter. Okay? Remember, to know yourself is to have power over you. To know yourself is to be in power. If someone always has a tendency to make you feel angry, if someone pushes a button and you can end up angry, you have to ask yourself, what buttons are being pushed? Why am I angry? What am I angry at? And see if there is something within you that needs to be resolved. Because I feel for some of you, there is some anger stemming from abusive father or a father figure. It could be a mother too, but I'm getting a father figure. And anger because it's someone you couldn't rely upon. So you hold people accountable on one hand for something you rely upon, but at the same time, you don't believe that you can rely on them. So you're in this, you're kind of screwed, if I'm being honest. Because on one hand, let's put it this way. On one hand, you want to rely on someone, but on the other hand, you're convinced that you can't rely on that person. Well, if you're convinced, if that's your belief, that you can't rely on somebody else, what do you think you're going to create for yourself in terms of your experience? So you can't rely on somebody else. And you get angry. Well, why getting angry? You just said you know you can't rely on somebody else. Then why angry? You know. And that's just an example, okay? Anger, when suppressed, when a lot of anger is suppressed, it acts as too much heat in the body, and it creates some damage in the physical body. Okay, you can have ulcers. This is what I'm shown. You can have some aches and pains in the body because you're holding a lot of energy that's unexpressed. It certainly can affect your organs, and I believe in traditional Chinese medicine, liver, I believe, is tied to anger. So it may express itself as issues with liver, digestion problems. I mean, there's so many things. GERD, I'm hearing the word GERD, okay? There are so many things that too much suppressed emotion can do to a physical body, never mind emotional body and mental body. Okay? This is not about fixing yourself. It's about realizing that you are more than the emotion you are carrying within yourself. Not only that, that emotion weighs you heavily, very heavily. So think about it this way. You have wings, but you can't fly because this is weighing you so high that you cannot experience your freedom in whatever form. Okay? That's a metaphor. Okay? And it's not that you need to see it about yourself, but it would be good if you did see it about yourself, because then you would be in a position to choose differently, to choose your life differently. Okay? And I know I'm focusing on the idea of anger. It could be any other emotion that's a strongly held emotion that has a negative impact on relationships. Jealousy, I'm also getting feeling of jealousy. If you are holding on to jealousy, if jealousy rules you, then that's some deep, I want to say trauma, that was significant enough for you to not trust in your own beauty, in your own worth, to second guess yourself, second guess your ability to find happiness. Something happened and you are not over it. You are still referring back to whatever that was that needs healing. Okay? Because that stuff will hold you back. There's no other way. Okay? Change of the wind simply to me signifies change of direction. You are moving forward and onward. You are moving away from something and forward, which is a forward movement. And that's not always easy. What I'm also getting is that you may be feeling a little bit in the dark right now, okay? You might be feeling a little bit dizzy, maybe not physically dizzy, but dizzy as in confused, okay? Confusion is a normal part of this process. You may be feeling like you're going in circle right now, which is, by the way, contradictory to what I was seeing here, but this is where I feel you're heading, okay? This clarity, being in a maze, but having this clarity, this is where I feel you're heading. And this change you're going through, change of direction, I believe is part of that energy, okay? I hope it's making sense. Always be yourself. They said to me, focus on the zebra. I said, what about the zebra? And they said, well, it doesn't have spots. It has, it's a zebra. It can never be anything other than what a zebra is. Stop trying to be somebody else. When a baby is born as a zebra, the baby remains a zebra for the rest of its life to adulthood until it dies. It cannot change itself. That's what it is. It accepts it. There's no denying it. It doesn't go around and say, oh, I want to be a giraffe. It's not happening, okay? You, on the other hand, looks like are trying to be something you're not. The question is why? What do you believe you're going to get when you become that thing or person that you want? What do you think is going to happen? What's the benefit of that? Unless you accept yourself fully and unconditionally, and then make some changes, yes, but unless you accept yourself fully and completely, you're going to be living with inner struggle for the rest of your life. You're going to always try to be something you are not. Okay? And that's basically us saying you're deviating from your truth. Okay? Because if you knew who you really were, if you truly understood who you truly were, you will never for a second, for a nanosecond, consider trying to be somebody else. Wouldn't cross your mind. Okay? You're trying to be somebody else because of some inner insecurity. Look at those. Okay? Look at those experiences and stop denying yourself the truth. I'm not good enough. Are you serious? Are you serious? You're not good enough for what? To be loved? I already said that many times before. You're loved whether you like it or not. Whether you believe it or not. Whether you believe you deserve it or not. You're loved. You don't feel it? Why? Because you're not letting it in. Why are you not letting it in? That's a good question. What are you afraid of? What are you ultimately afraid of? If I let love in, what's going to happen to me? It's going to hurt. Oh, so you believe love hurts. Okay, where did you learn that? Because love doesn't hurt, darling. I mean, sometimes you're loved so much it hurts, but it's kind of a good pain. But love doesn't hurt like pain does. Okay? Love is not supposed to hurt. So what you are referring to as love is not love at all. It's called pain. You haven't healed from pain yet. And that has to be addressed. Okay? I am seeing the number 6. Perhaps June is somehow important to you. Yin and the yang. Balancing the feminine and masculine. Likely there's a lot of suppression of the feminine. Perhaps you have been sexually abused. That's very prominent in our world, still in our society. Including myself. So I totally get it. But if that's the case, it doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It could be anything. It's time to move on from that because that's the box of memories that we were talking about at the very beginning of the first video. So this is what I have for you, pile number 3, and I do hope this was helpful. I hope that you have been able to identify some things within you that you didn't know before that made you go, oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. And it just cracked you open a little bit and helped you identify yourself as a little bit more than before. That's ultimately my and my team's goal. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to seeing your comments. If you would like help with whatever you're going through, of course, I would be honored to help you with that. The link is down below. And choose well for yourself. Take care. Remember to click the notification bell to get notifications when I upload new content. Thank you. See you soon.